Welcome to CINEPRO, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The movie I Know What You Did Last Summer starts with a girl named Ava, who is returning to her city after being away for more than a year to attend her friend Danica's engagement party. While getting ready, she picks out her nicest dress and tries to lift her spirits because she knows she'll see her high school sweetheart Milo at the party. Afterwards, she goes to the party, which is already filled with many guests. Danica is overjoyed to see her, especially since they've reunited after a long time apart. While they're talking, they look at Danica's fiancé, Teddy, and we learn that Teddy is the son of the city's mayor and the biggest businessman in town. Milo is standing next to Teddy, and it's clear they're friends. Teddy seems to know about Ava and Milo's past relationship and tries to encourage Milo to go talk to her. Although Milo still likes and loves Ava, he pretends not to care and tells Teddy that he and Ava are just friends. Likewise, Ava acts uninterested in Milo in front of Danica, but Danica knows she still loves him. At that moment, Teddy's father, Grant, welcomes the guests, congratulates Teddy and Danica, and blesses their engagement. After the party, Teddy and Danica decide to take Ava and Milo on a trip outside the city to celebrate together. Before they leave, Ava and Danica see their old school friend, Stevie, who is working with the catering crew cleaning up after the party. When Stevie sees them, she remembers how they all drifted away from her when they went to college, especially after her father ran away with all her money, leaving her alone, sad, and depressed, to the point that she became addicted and ended up in rehab. After her recovery, she started working any job to support herself. Teddy and Milo decide to invite Stevie to join them, thinking this trip is a good chance for Danica and Ava to repair their friendship with her. Danica is skeptical, knowing everything that happened to Stevie, and thinks she'll refuse. But Milo and Ava approach Stevie to greet her and invite her to watch the fireworks at the mountain with them, and spend a good time like old times. At first, Stevie refuses because she hasn't finished her work, but agrees when her coworker offers to finish up. Teddy takes them in his car, letting Danica drive, and they enjoy the ride until they reach a certain spot and get out to watch the fireworks. Teddy, who's drunk, stands in the middle of the road joking with his friends. Suddenly, a car almost hits him, but Milo pulls him out of the way just in time, saving his life. Still, Teddy keeps joking in the same spot despite Danica yelling at him. Suddenly, a truck comes speeding down the road, and the driver swerves at the last moment to avoid Teddy, losing control of the vehicle, crashing through the barrier, and ending up on the edge of the mountain. They rush to help the driver, but the doors are jammed. Teddy keeps trying to open them while the others hold onto the car with all their strength to keep it from falling off the mountain, but their efforts fail. The car falls onto the rocks below and is completely destroyed. The incident leaves everyone in shock, knowing they are responsible for the accident and the driver's death. Chaos ensues. No one knows what to do, and they hesitate to call the police. Teddy quickly calls his father, tells him what happened, and asks him to call the police and ambulance. The shock is particularly hard on Stevie, who says she's the only one who will get in trouble because the others are rich and their families can protect them, while she has no one. Danica reassures her, saying nothing will happen and that the area is dangerous with frequent accidents. Teddy confirms this and tells them he called his father, but they need to leave before the police arrive. They listen and leave quickly to a safe place. There, Teddy tells them his father will handle everything and no one will know anything, but asks Stevie, Milo, and Ava to swear to keep the secret. They all swear, but Ava is affected and leaves. A year passes after these events, and Ava returns to the city. In the airport bathroom, she meets a girl named Taylor by chance and gets to know her. Then Milo arrives to pick up Ava, and they give Taylor a ride. On the way, they learn Taylor is in town to do a podcast about the massacre that happened in the city in 1997. Milo and Ava aren't interested in the topic. After dropping her off, they head to Danica's house, where Danica is preparing for her engagement party to her new fiancé Wyatt, as she broke up with Teddy some time ago. Danica and Stevie greet them, and it's clear Stevie is helping Danica with the party. Later, Danica sits with her friends, opens her gifts happily, but then opens a letter that says, "I know what you did last summer." Danica becomes anxious and obviously scared. When the others ask about her tension, she tries to compose herself and says someone is just playing a bad joke. She uses Wyatt's arrival as an excuse to show the guests the house renovations so she can talk to Ava, Milo, and Stevie privately. Danica shows them the letter, thinking Teddy sent it because he's still upset over their breakup. Milo asks why she's so sure it's Teddy, so Danica explains that only the four of them, Teddy and his father, know what happened last year, which is why she believes Teddy is trying to ruin her life. Ava suggests it could be a relative of the dead driver, but Stevie says she looked up information on the driver after the accident and found out his name was Sam, and he had no relatives. No one even held a funeral for him except the townspeople. They dismiss the idea of revenge and decide to look for Teddy to make sure. Milo, Stevie, and Ava quickly head to the marina since Teddy now spends most of his time drunk on his yacht, and it's clear that he's feeling sad after breaking up with Danica. And when they show him the message, he tells them he has nothing to do with it. He also says he hasn't sent anything to Danica since they broke up, and if Danica feels the message is directed at her alone, that's her problem, not his. He asks them to leave and let him be alone. At night, Danica is with Wyatt at home, just the two of them. She goes to sit in the bathtub to relax, while Wyatt decides to wait for her to finish. He notices the lights of fireworks outside the house and thinks someone is in the garden doing it, so he goes to check, but finds no one. As he turns around to go back inside, someone shoots him in the back with an arrow, and he falls to the ground. He tries to escape, but the killer shoots him with another arrow in the stomach. Wyatt thinks it's a robbery, so he screams and tells his attacker he'll give him whatever he wants. Just let him live. At that moment, a masked figure dressed in black appears, his face covered and features hidden, holding an iron hook. He stabs Wyatt with the hook, killing him. It turns out Danica didn't hear Wyatt's screams because she was listening to music. When she finishes and goes to look for Wyatt, she's shocked to find his body. Written on the wall in Wyatt's blood is the sentence, "You can't erase the past." After that, we see Danica's friends with her at the police station, where Ava tries to comfort her. Teddy comes to check on Danica, but Milo stops him and tells him to come back another time. The next day, Danica and her friends gather to figure out who might be behind what's happening. They come to a terrifying conclusion. Wyatt's death wasn't a coincidence, and they begin to suspect someone is taking revenge on all of them, even though none of them understands why Wyatt was the first target, especially since he wasn't involved in last year's incident. Here, Ava remembers a girl named Taylor whom she met at the airport. Since Taylor is interested in the massacre that happened in the city and does a podcast about true crimes, they suspect her. If she's innocent, she might help them figure out what's going on. Without wasting time, Ava goes to meet Taylor and tells her what happened. Taylor takes her to the house where the first murder by the serial killer happened in the late 90s. Inside, Taylor explains to Ava that the killer responsible for the 1997 massacre is called the Hunter, and one of his most violent attacks happened in that house. At the time, a woman named Julie managed to survive by escaping through the pool. Taylor tells her that Julie now lives far from the city and works as a university professor. Taylor then decides to go upstairs to check if anyone is there. While Ava waits, she texts Stevie, telling her she's with Taylor, gives her the house address, and says Taylor's behavior is making her uncomfortable. Suddenly, the killer appears in front of Ava. At first, she thinks it's Taylor joking, but then Taylor appears upstairs, and the killer attacks Ava. She runs and injures his hand with a knife, so he locks her in a metal cage and goes after Taylor, who tries to escape by grabbing onto the elevator cable. The killer finds her and attacks her. Taylor tries to defend herself, but it's no use. At the same time, Stevie arrives at the house, and Ava manages to free herself and opens the door for Stevie. Before they can escape, they are shocked to find Taylor's body hanging by her neck in front of them. The next day, the townspeople attend a meeting organized by Grant about the crime. Grant tries to tell everyone that Taylor committed suicide because he doesn't want to scare off investors. However, some townspeople object, including a man named Ray, who we learn is one of the survivors of the old massacre and is Stevie's boss. Ray says there have been 2 murders in 2 days, and the only explanation is that the old massacre might happen again. Grant reassures everyone, saying the city will take the necessary precautions to protect the residents. Ava is convinced by his words and takes Milo and Stevie to the impound lot for crashed cars, because the car that fell off the mountain last summer should have been moved there after the accident. They discover the car actually belonged to a monk named Gilles, and that Sam, the driver who died, had stolen it from him. Meanwhile, Danica and Teddy visit the cemetery where Sam is buried, hoping to find something useful. They find fresh flowers on the grave and ask the caretaker if they can check the security cameras to see who left them. As the caretaker goes to check the footage, the killer suddenly appears and slits his throat. When Teddy notices the caretaker is taking too long, he leaves Danica alone among the graves to check on him. Suddenly, the killer appears and chases Danica until she hides in a nearby building. The The killer finds her and is about to stab her with the hook, but Teddy appears and hits the killer, forcing him to flee without a trace. Afterwards, Teddy takes Danica to rest, and Milo and Ava join them. After making sure Danica is okay, Milo takes Ava to his house to spend the night together. While hanging out, Milo goes to get his phone charger from the car, but before he returns, the killer appears, strangles him with a rope, breaks his neck, and sends a message from Milo's phone to Ava, making it look like Milo went out to spend the night alone. At the same time, Ray visits Julie, and it's clear she's not happy to see him. He tells her he's upset that she asked Ava to investigate the killer herself, as Ava and her friends could end up dead just like their friends years ago. Julie doesn't care about his words and doesn't respond. The next day, Danica and Ava go to the church and meet Gilles, who acts nervously when asked about Sam. While Gilles is busy talking to Ava, Danica sneaks into his office and searches through his things, finding photos of him with Sam, proving they knew each other. Suddenly, Ava texts Danica, warning her that Gilles is coming her way, so Danica quickly hides before he sees her. After Danica and Ava leave the church, they go to the police station to report Gilles, telling them he's the killer who murdered Wyatt and Taylor. But the officer asks them to wait until he returns and goes to talk to Grant in... He calls him on the phone and tells him what happened, so he asks him to keep them detained because he doesn't want any problems today until the Independence Day celebration passes safely. At night, Teddy is sitting at home, drinking as usual, when suddenly the killer appears and attacks him to kill him. Teddy fights back with all his strength, but the killer stabs him several times. Teddy tries to run away but falls to the ground and can't keep running. At that moment, Grant is leaving the house and is terrified when he sees his son dying in front of him. He quickly runs to him and holds him in his arms, but the killer appears and stabs him in the neck with the hook, finishing him off. We go back to Danica, who is still with Ava at the police station. Suddenly, the officers release them without any explanation, but strangely, all the officers rush out of the station. They run after them to find out what's happening and are horrified when they see Jotham and Grant hanging in front of them. Danica collapses in shock, feeling that she is the reason for the crimes that happened because both of her fiancés were killed. After that, they find Milo's car parked nearby. When Ava opens the car door, she finds Milo's body on the back seat and collapses from the shock. Stevie quickly takes Danica and Ava to the boat so they can escape the city before the killer gets them too. At the same time, the police arrive at the church to arrest Jill and question him about why he hid his relationship with Sam. But the shock is that Jill is dead, his body left in a certain position as if performing a spiritual ritual. When the police search the place, they find a photo of Jill with Sam, and the shocking thing is that Stevie is standing next to Sam in the photo. We return to Danica, Ava, and Stevie, who have sailed far out to sea. Suddenly, the killer appears in front of them, and they are shocked to discover that the killer is their friend Stevie. Stevie tells them that Sam, the driver they killed a year ago, was actually her friend, the only person who stood by her during her crisis and helped her forget her closest friends who abandoned her. She tells them that on the night of the accident, Sam was looking for her because he heard from her colleague that she had left with them. He was worried she might have a relapse if she remembered anything from her past, so he stole Jill's car and went looking for her. But he died at Danica and her friend's hands. She says she only found out Sam was the driver from the news the next day, and that's why she decided to take revenge on them, because they took away the person she loved most in her life. They try to explain that they didn't mean to kill him as she saw herself, but Stevie doesn't care and tells them she's happy she killed the guys Danica and Ava loved, to break their hearts like they broke hers over Sam. Now, the only thing left is to finish what she started and get rid of them and disappear from the city forever. But suddenly, Danica and Ava attack Stevie and get onto the deck of the boat. Stevie grabs Danica and puts the hook to her neck, just as Ray arrives to stop her. They realize he saw them from his boat when they were fighting and rushed over. Stevie ignores Ray's attempts to calm her down and stabs Danica in the chest with the hook, throwing her off the boat. Ray shoots Stevie, and she falls into the sea, too. Then Ray takes Ava on his boat to return to the city. We go to Julie, who gets a call from Ava and finds out that Stevie was the killer and wanted to finish them off. Ava points out that someone else is helping her, because on the day the killer murdered Taylor, Stevie was with her and saved her. Julie senses something is wrong, starts connecting the dots, and makes a terrifying discovery. Ray is the one helping Stevie. We return to Ava, who is on the boat with Ray. They arrive at the port and sit talking for a while. Then Ava discovers the truth when Ray takes off his jacket and she notices the wound in the same place where she stabbed the killer with a knife when he attacked her. together. Ray realizes Ava has figured him out, so he decides to tell her the truth. He says he is Stevie's partner in everything that happened because he sympathized with her after learning what she went through. He tells her he didn't kill Stevie as they thought. What happened was part of their plan. The plan was for him to shoot her in front of them so they'd believe she was dead. Ava tries to escape, but he stabs her in the back with a knife. At the same moment, Julie arrives and confronts Ray, blaming him for everything he's done. Ray explains that he's taking revenge for himself because the government ignored him, even though he paid a heavy price and his future was destroyed because of the massacre the killer committed against all their friends in the past. That's why he decided to help Stevie with her revenge and make the government and townspeople live in fear forever. He apologizes to Julie and tells her he has to finish her off too, but Julie tells him he won't have time to do that. Julie sees Ava getting up and shooting Ray with an arrow, finishing him off. At the same time, Danica is still alive after the waves washed her onto the shore. After a while, we see Danica and Ava leaving the hospital, sitting together on the beach, eating. Ava asks Danica what they're going to do about Stevie now that they know she's still alive. Danica says they have to look for her to get their revenge, and the movie ends. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video. Goodbye.